Lots to get to in the mailbag. Abby, where are you going to start us off at this week?
All right, first one. After hearing praise about Gabe Ervin and Ramir Johnson, along with Anthony Grant's suspension, how do you see the running back room shaking out?
I mean, it's very early still. That's the hard thing, but I think Anthony Grant's going to have to re-earn everything. And I think Gabe Ervin has kind of put himself back into the 2021 version of Gabe Ervin. And A.J. Allen, we know what this kid has. I mean, it is very hard to call this room right now.
Yeah, Ramir. Don't forget Ramir. I mean,
Ramir. By the way, I get hammered for Keisei Tominaga.
Yeah.
You get hammered for Ramir.
Ramir was the leading rusher in 2000. Ramir Johnson was the leading rusher.
Ramir.
2021, right? He was, and he's back as a full-time running back. Don't forget about him. But it is a hard call. Now, most positions when a new coaching staff become pretty much wide open.
Yeah.
And this one will. It's hard to handicap. They've practiced once. A.J. Allen is really intriguing. He's really intriguing based on what we saw, his ascension through 4 games last year.
He could run away with it.
He's smooth. I mean, that's a smooth running back. He knows how to play the position. But you cannot rule out Anthony Grant. He ran for 915 yards last year.
Yeah, and as we talked about, it's just a lot of it for now depends on how much time he misses. I mean, how long is the suspension going to be? If he's back next practice, then I'm sure he's right back in the thick of it. So
he's in the thick of it no matter what. Right?
But I mean, how much catching up is he going to have to do if he does miss extended time?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, next one. Who is in the starting rotation for the defensive line, and do the Huskers have enough depth to compete at that position for a grueling fall season?
Oh, that's a great question.
Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher, and
Stephon Wynn. Stephon Wynn. You wonder about Raquan Buckley. Who else, Sean, who's in that group, Rob?
Gunnarsson? Are we considering him an edge?
Yeah, so I kind of tuned up the scholarship chart a little bit because they've eliminated the Nick and the edge, and they just have DL, LB, safety, and corner.
Oh, we didn't mention Elijah Judy. So there you go. It's Stephon Wynn. Who's the starters? My guess.
Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher. Let's say they're
okay.
And then
so it'll be Judy or Wynn.
Judy, those 4 guys.
Yeah.
I think Gunnarsson.
Well, I mean, Gunnarsson.
Kai Whalen is a wild card.
Yeah. Now wait a second though. Now what gets interesting, what gets confusing, I'm sure to people, is Stephon Wynn's a 300-pounder. Hutmacher's a 300-pounder. Robinson's 300-pounder. Judy's a 290-pounder. K-Walling weighs 235. Gunnarsson's probably 250. So I don't know. It just depends what's it going to look like in a 3-3-5. I don't know how they're going to use those positions. But as far as bigs, we'll just call them bigs like Rob does in basketball. They don't have enough bigs.
The 280-plussers.
No,
they don't.
They don't have enough.
They don't. They frankly don't. And it's frankly a major concern in my opinion.
Seems like a portal priority post-spring.
But
if they
guess
get
what?
one.
That's everyone's
Yeah, I know.
priority.
I know.
It is.
What do you need in the portal? A pass rusher, a D-line body, and a tackle.
Yeah. Almost any year you need a big defensive lineman.
Yep.
You can find receivers, running backs.
It's super saver. I mean, you don't find how many guys are 6'4", 290 are at your grocery store every day. You don't see them.
It's just like bigs in basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, every team in the country wants them. You can find guards anywhere.
Yeah. No, they're light there. They're light.
All right, Abby, what's next?
Try to take us through how you think this big recruiting weekend is going to go, this upcoming weekend, and how will that go down with so many high-profile visitors in town?
It's huge. I mean, you have 25-plus guys with offers. I believe 16 or 4 or 5 stars. 7 players are the number 1 ranked players in their respective states coming in this weekend.
How about that? Now, here's the deal. I listened to Jerome Tang the other day, basketball coach at Kansas State, say, "Oh, everybody talks about coaching. It's about dudes." I heard Bill Bush the other day saying, everybody talks about scheme magicians. You got to get a guy that has a good scheme. No, it's about dudes. Scheme, I heard Jimbo Fisher yesterday at his press conference saying, it's not about scheme. It's about players and execution. You got to get guys like Rule knows it. He knows what you got to do to win a championship. You got to go get big-time players, which that's what they're bringing in this weekend.
Yeah,
big-time players.
It's a mixed bag. I mean, Williams Noarni, the number 1 player in Missouri, a 5-star D lineman. But Brandon Baker, that's probably, I think, nationally the one that's the most surprising to a lot of folks.
Position.
Number one offensive tackle in the country.
There you go.
Modern day California.
There you go.
I mean, everybody nationally thought that this guy was going to visit Ohio State or even Texas this weekend. He's coming to Nebraska.
That's big.
Nathaniel Frazier will be here as well. The number one running back, his teammate. But you look at Brandon Baker.
Look at him.
This is a, as big time of a lineman that's visited Lincoln in a long time.
Yeah, that's the kind of guys you see at Ohio State and Michigan, right?
And
What was Michigan's strongest position group?
Well, they had the Outland Trophy winner, who, by the way, came from the transfer portal.
Right, and their offensive line. And
Both
and who's a lot of people picking to win a national title this year?
Michigan.
Because they're bringing everybody back.
Yeah.
And Ohio
So good
State's
up
losing
front.
everybody.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
good.
I'm excited. I'm intrigued. You'll have a lot of guys here this weekend, and some key in-state guys too, like Carter Nelson's back again. Caleb Benning's here. So you'll have
Big.
a mixed bag of everything. Abby, what's next?
I know you just listed a lot of guys that are coming in this next weekend, but who do you think is the most important non-quarterback visitor that's coming to Nebraska?
Probably just said it, Sean.
I mean, I kind of went through a lot of the weekend itself, but I want to go through the actual list here. I know we're going to talk more about it in our next segment, so I don't want to give too much away in this mailbag, but I mean, you can make a case for all of them. The St. Louis, Ryan Wingo being from St. Louis, it's been a long time since the top St. Louis guys come to Nebraska. I do think they've made a really big effort. You heard Matt Rule say Kansas City, Missouri, they flew the plane down to speak at the coaches clinic. I mean, I think they're really trying to make a push, and Trev Alberts has given them the support they need because Matt Rule can't drive back and forth. When you're managing the team in Lincoln and doing everything, it's that's too much time for him.
Too much time, yeah.
But they can fly down and fly back, and he was able to really make an impact. And I think they're going to get a lot of these guys here on campus, from Missouri, from Kansas, and that's going to be big.
You like to see that big body receiver. I mean, that's another thing in the Big Ten. It helps.
Jacob and Jared Smith, too, the twins from Cheshire Academy in Connecticut, both defensive lineman guys that will be here as well. All right, Abby, I think we have time for one more.
All right, our last question. So Wednesday was Nebraska's Pro Day. Do you have a favorite Pro Day memory or something that really sticks out to you?
Watching Randy Gregory work out 2014. I'd never seen a Nebraska player, and I'd covered my share of Pro Days. I'd never seen a Nebraska player look that good. He had gotten himself right. Now then he fell off shortly after that. He got in some trouble, but he had got himself right for Pro Day, and I just remember feeling really bad for the people that had to follow him in drills. Because I did. I mean, because you had some good
No matter
players.
what, your performance is going to be totally unimpressive.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you remember Randy, what was he, Sean? Was he 6'5", 6'6"? He was in the 240, 245 range, and he was going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, he was.
Well,
that's
he's still playing for a reason.
Right. Now, what we're talking about is a guy who was going to be a top 5 overall, and that's what it should look like, and that's what it did look like. He was a
6'5", 235.
Yeah, there you go.
34-inch arms, 10-inch hands.
Yeah, I'll never. Now,
4'6", 440.
I get into it.
36 and a half vert.
Me and Damon have got into it. I've got into it with other guys. Who's the best pass rusher at Nebraska you've ever seen? They naturally those older guys are coming with Wistrom. Yeah. Now Wistrom didn't look like that. I mean, now Wistrom was great, but if I'm lining him up on Pro Day, I'm taking Gregory.
The fact that Randy Gregory is still in the NFL despite
All
all
the
of his
all the
off-the-field,
baggage,
that says everything you need to know. Where NFL teams are willing to put up and wait through all that stuff until he gets his stuff figured out, that is a
Look at that
sheer
picture.
reflection of talent.
Yeah, you're right. Look at that photo. I mean, he didn't always look like that at Nebraska. He got himself in premium shape for that day.
Remember that Miami game in Lincoln?
That's Pro Day.
They had a
That's
first-round
comprehensive.
draft pick tackle at Miami, and he just ate that guy's lunch.
Yeah,
in
that's
that game.
right. That's right.
But my Pro Day memory, obviously in Dominican Sue's Pro Day, which would have been in 2010.
That was an event.
That was a big deal. But go back to 2011. That was really the last time. That was the last team Nebraska had that has been in the top 5. They were in the top 5. In fact, since the 0-1 Colorado game / Miami games to end that year, there's only been a couple of weeks where Nebraska's been ranked in the top 5. I think 1 week total, and it was that team,
2011?
the 2010 team.
2010 team, okay.
But the 11 Pro Day had 7 draft picks.
Who were they?
Prince Amukamara, Roy Halou, Alex Henry, DeJon Gomes, Niles Paul, Keith Williams, who now works at Nebraska, and Eric Haig. Think about that.
Ballers.
7 draft picks.
Yeah, not a lot of big dudes in there.
And people are like, man, those Bo team. I mean, they had some good teams back then.
Oh, they did.
Now a lot of those were Callahan guys.
Yep.
Bo did develop Haig.
He developed Sue.
He brought in Gomes. You know, he was a big believer in Roy Halou from the get-go. Prince Amukamara, who knows how he would have developed under the other staff. Marvin Sanders did a great job with him, but 7 draft picks in that 2011 Pro Day.
7.
7.
What was the year? So here's a different one, and you guys might be able to help me out. I can't remember who the player was, but it was like, I want to say like late 2000s, early 2010s, where he had his kid with him, and he brought his kid and sat him up next to him, and you know they're asking like, so how'd you do in pro day? He's like, I don't know, ask him. How'd Dad do in his pro day? And the kid goes, Dad didn't do very well.
Now I'm confused. Now I'm trying to.
Kevin Suits and I were talking about that today.
I don't remember. Sean, how do you
And
not
we were
remember
trying to
that?
think of who, like, I want to say it was around like the Brandon Kinney era. I don't think it was Brandon Kinney.
Ooh, could have been Brandon Kinney, though.
Was the guy drafted?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, clearly he didn't do very well in his pro day. But like
Interesting.
that stuck.
That's-
out.
yeah, that
'Cause I
does-
forgot about that until well, Suitsy reminded me of that one.
Yeah. I don't remember that. I might not have been.
Back in the 90s, like, did you go to all those pro days? Or was it kind of
Seems
just
like it, yeah. Seems
the
like
pre-internet era?
Yeah, it was pre-internet era, so it was a little
A
different.
little less pressure.
A little less pressure. But come on, the talent. We don't have to get into that. It was ridiculous. I mean, I think the 95 team had 19 guys on defense that played in the NFL. I mean, just on defense. Not all draft picks, but if you look at the depth, if you look at the tackle chart, I think you could come up with 18 guys.